You're listening to Ask Dr. Jake. My name is Dr. Jake Tucker, owner and founder of Good Life Family Chiropractic here on the south side of Lincoln, on the corner of 56th and Pine Lake. And we're coming to you today with another message of hope, health, and healing. And today I wanted to share just a little bit about why we're so far off base in this country, why we're missing the mark, why these mask mandates are in place, why people are sitting, hoping, and praying to the gods of vaccination that we can get back to work. And really, this has nothing to do with epidemiology and has everything to do with how our body heals and functions and just how far wrong we've gotten it. Yeah. And I see this every single day. I see this, when my sister, younger sister, I'm the oldest of four. She had kids before I did. But fortunately, we were able to have two children really close together. My son was born in August. Her son was born in September. And, he was not very healthy. In fact, he came out, he scored a 1 out of 10 on his APGAR. He was a breech birth, and they decided to twist him around in the birth canal because he was sunny side up. He was frontal breech. And using forceps, they were pulling him out. And so that created some issues, but ultimately they rushed him to the NICU unit because they couldn't get him to breathe. And so my sister calls me, as you should do if you have a doctor in the family, and tells me a little bit about what's going on and asks me if I'll come to the hospital. And so I do. I drive down to the hospital just as quick as I can and have her march me into the NICU once she told me a little bit more about what happened. And I go right to his neck because when they grabbed on with the forceps, what they did is they didn't just pull him out. They twisted him around by his head and his neck with those forceps, and then they pulled him out. And so what I felt when I felt his spine was that every single one of those vertebrae in his neck had twisted out of position. And there's two specific centers in your spine that control respiration. The first is right here at the base of the brainstem, cranial nerve 10, the vagus nerve exits off and goes down to the lungs. It's responsible for the parasympathetic control of the breathing mechanism. The second is right here at the base of the neck, and there's a branch of nerves that exit out between, just depending on how God designed you anatomically, somewhere between C5 all the way down to about T4, T5, T6. And pretty much every single one of those vertebrae that are supposed to be surrounding and protecting those nerves in his body had been twisted out of position. We're putting a crushing pressure on those nerve roots and disrupting the ability of his brain to communicate with his lungs. His lungs were full of fluid and he wasn't able to take a breath. He wasn't able to expel it. He wasn't doing well. The doctors had given my sister no hope for leaving the hospital. They said he was sick because he was symptomatic. I said he was sick because he had a lack of function. And so I went in and I adjusted his neck. Now, it's not like how you'll see on YouTube or if you watch any of my Facebook ads. It's about feeling for the ripeness of a tomato is the amount of pressure I put on a baby's spine. And I put that pressure on there and just a little vibration there just to give it a little more impulse. And I felt as those vertebrae slid into place, I felt his body relax and I felt his body begin to respond. I prayed for him and I went home that night, not knowing exactly what would happen, but knowing that there was less interference in that central nervous system, knowing I gave him the best chance to heal. Not that I did the healing, mind you. God was the one that would have to take action from here because he's the one that controls all health and healing. But as those vertebrae moved back into place, settled back into place, and the brain was allowed to communicate with the lungs, he started to heal. The next morning, my sister called me and she said, "Jake, you'll never believe it. Elias gets to go home today." And they're saying it's a miracle. And she said, "I want to thank you for healing Elias." And I said, I didn't heal him. God healed him. I removed the interference. That's what I do. That's what I specialize in, is removing the interference from the central nervous system, restoring the spine back to its normal, optimal healing and function. Most people think chiropractors are for neck pain, back pain, and headaches. And that's actually why I got into chiropractic, because I wanted to help people get rid of their pain. But it wasn't until 2 weeks later that my mom called me right after I'd started school. And she said, "Jake, I'm so proud of you. I feel like God's brought you full circle." I said, "How so?" And she said, "Because a chiropractor saved your life when you were a baby." And turns out that just like my nephew Elias had his spine twisted out of position at birth from the birth process, mine had likewise done the exact same thing. My mom went through 6 months of going to specialists, trying to figure out what diagnosis I had in my lungs that would keep me from being able to have full function of my lungs. It wasn't until a chiropractor got a look at me that I found the cause of my problem. My head was cocked over to one side. My eyes were dilated, one larger than the other. The eyes were open, one larger than the other. and I wasn't breathing. He went right to the top of my neck, right where all those cranial nerves that control all of those things, balance, coordination, pupil dilation, eye open, all of those cranial nerves were being infected, including the vagus nerve running to my lungs. I was quitting breathing 14 times a night. He did one adjustment. I've never quit breathing since. That's the power of an adjustment, not to heal you, but to remove the interference from the system that controls the function of everything. Because what's the definition of health? Health is a state of 100% optimal function and healing. And here we sit in our culture going bankrupt from healthcare costs more than anything else with the wrong definition. Why? What do we define health as? We think we're healthy when we feel good and we look good. And yet we have marathoners, we have bodybuilders, we have all these people that look good and feel good, dying of heart attacks, dying of cancer, dying of strokes, looking good and feeling good because we don't have the right definition. It's a state of 100% optimal function and healing. In order to feel dysfunction in your body, it has to be there for 20 years and it has to reach a state of decrease by about 40%. You have to be sitting at 60% overall function before you'll feel a symptom. Now you get in a car accident. I had a patient come in just the other day, coming from a car accident, actually delayed her initial exam because she had been dealing with neck pain and headaches for years, but it was just after the car accident, everything flared up. She said, I absolutely need to come see you. I need to see you right now. Can you get me in? We got her in. I got to look at her spine. She had had a straight neck for years, but then she got in a car accident, got hit from behind. It whipped her head forward. It tore through ligaments in the back of her neck. Not that anybody found this, mind you. Nobody on the scene, no other doctors found this. We found it because we test for this thing, and we were able to actually create a plan for her to start to get correction. That's what we do in this office, and we do it every single day. If you're looking for help, let's get to the cause. Let's look at the dysfunction. She felt that loss of function instantaneously because she lost the function instantaneously. Now, most of us, we don't get there instantaneously, do we? No, because most of us are going to die of heart disease or cancer. 63% of all deaths that happen in the United States happen from heart disease or cancer. And for you to feel that, it takes 20 years of having it, right? And then what's your symptom? Heart attack. If you're wanting to die of a heart attack, wait until you feel heart disease to do anything about it. What's your symptom? Cancer. It's death. If you wait until you feel cancer, it's too late. It's 10 years too late. At 10 years of having cancer, it's considered lethal, and yet the first symptom shows up after 20 years. I don't think that's a good idea, and neither does the medical system, because what do? We recommend routine screenings, colonoscopies, mammograms, prostate checks. But if you wait until you get a symptom there, a sign that the doctor can feel or measure or test for, it's still been inside your body for 8 years. 8 years before it's detectable. 2 years before it's considered lethal. And then they'll drug you up to attack the cancer. Never mind what caused the cancer. Never mind that we know that 95% of cancers are due to lifestyle. Don't change anything. Eat more ice cream. You need to feel good through this process because you're about to lose all your hair. You know, you need to have a GoFundMe account so you can take these vacations to the Bahamas and Hawaii. But never mind that all this sugar that you've eaten, all these toxins you've surrounded yourself with, all this lack of spinal care and focusing on the health of your nervous system and your immune system have all led to this place where your body can't heal and function anymore. You beat cancer by surviving for 5 years, even if you die the next day of cancer. We're losing the war on cancer. Cancer is expected to be the #1 cause of death this year, surpassing cardiovascular disease for the first time. We're not getting better at this thing. We have to get better. We have to get better. Let's get back to the definition of health. According to the World Health Organization, the state of health is a state of 100% optimal function and healing. If you wait till you feel it, it's too late. The medical system doesn't care about your diagnosis until you feel it. They don't care until you complain about it. Yes, we want you well. All doctors want you well. Don't let me throw any doctors under the bus. Most of us got into this because we love people and we really want you to be well. We want you to be healthy and whole. But if you want to be healthy and whole, it starts with taking responsibility for this thing. Your insurance, they don't care about it. They care about stability. The definition of medical necessity, what's going to be covered. Any care that seeks to prevent disease, promote or enhance the quality or longevity of life is not considered medically necessary and therefore will not be covered. Let me repeat the definition of medical necessity. Any care that seeks to prevent disease, promote or enhance the quality or longevity of life is not considered medically necessary and therefore will not be covered. So By definition, can they get you healthy? Can they get you well under your insurance? Absolutely not. You have to be the one that's responsible for your health. You have to be the one that's responsible for your gym membership, your organic grocery shopping, your trip to the farmers markets, your opportunity to go out and walk outside and get sunshine and fresh air. You have to be the one responsible to detoxify your life. You have to be the one responsible for creating a peaceful environment, because nobody's going to do this for you. Nobody's going to sign you up and bring you to the chiropractor's office. Nobody's going to pay for that for you. That's on you. But we deal with this every single day. We take care of patients and we make sure they can take care of their health affordably. That's honestly number one reason why I do this radio show, is to give you an option to come into the chiropractor and to have your nervous system assessed from a functional, holistic perspective, as opposed to waiting until your spine is dying, until those nerves are dying, to try to do something about it. If you want to come in for an exam to see exactly what's going on with your nervous system, the system that controls all function and healing, then call my office right now, 531-289-7100. Leave us a message, give us a good time to call you back, and we'll call or text you as soon as we get your message. And we'll set that up with you at a 50% discount off of our normal exam fees. It'll be $65 for a full set of x-rays and a full neurological assessment. And then we'll sit down with you and we'll go through a plan to get correction. We'll see how you respond to an adjustment. That adjustment's typically $54. We'll see how you respond. Once we do that, we can finalize those recommendations and we can show you what the investment is. How do you get healthy? How do you stay there? I want to help coach you through that. And I can do that for 13 minutes every weekday morning here on KCRO or wherever you're downloading your podcast. I can do that on Facebook, facebook.com/AskDrJake. Share this with your friends and family. But ultimately, if you want to be healthy and well, it has to do with you taking care of yourself, you taking responsibility for your health, not letting anybody else do that for you, but going to good coaches, going to good people that God's given wisdom to in these areas. And when you're talking about health, the first place I always start is the central nervous system. For your heart to beat, for your lungs to breathe, for a cut on your leg to heal, God has to send a signal from your brain down the spinal cord, out the nerves to every organ, cell, and tissue in the body. And the signal that he gave you is controlled by something that he created inside of each of us. It's an innate intelligence. It's what keeps your heart beating. It's what keeps your lungs breathing. It monitors and regulates your blood pressure. It's in there. It's in each of us. We all have our own innate intelligence. It's what brought two cells together and started duplicating and replicating what was created out of that single cell organism into this 36 trillion cell organism. It's what formed all the organs inside of our bodies. And it still keeps you well and keeps you healthy. Join me again tomorrow for another episode of Ask Dr. Jake here on KCRO at 9:30 a.m.